There. All right, guys. I'm going to fire up this video here and kind of narrate it as I watch it with you, because I realized I didn't have a mic back in these times when I did my cross-country trip last summer, 9,300 mile, 35 days. So we're going to record a section here. The whole video, realistically, probably just do picture-in-picture. Anyways, I got some notes here too. The video starts here, Dustin and I, cruising through Oregon, heading east. We started in the Dalles, started heading towards Joseph, Oregon. Tried staying off of all the interstates as much as possible. I think we had a dip and dive through some of them. We ended up finding some dirt, going to Hell's Canyon, where we stayed the night, and then we got pushed out by some fires the next day. I had to backtrack, end up splitting in Enterprise, Oregon, where I split from Dustin. He headed back to the Dalles, and I continued east through some of the most epic canyons, roads that I've ever driven. That led me right up into Idaho, and Idaho is epic. Let's see, where'd I go through? Like the Nez Perce or Perez Clearwater National Forest on my way up to Missoula. That was a super long day, 400 or 500 miles. On this long stretches of roads, I ended up, there was just a bunch of deer everywhere, so I had to really watch how I was going, deer dead everywhere, so it took me a while to really get up there. From there, I went to Bozeman. Bozeman, went over here to Yellowstone, where, let's see, yeah, Yellowstone. In Wyoming, Mammoth. Took the drone out right before or after the park. I kind of forget where we were here, where I was, realistically. In some field, just epic, gorgeous spot. Gosh, it was gusting hard there, raining, hail, lightning. There was snow in the Grand Tetons the next day after Yellowstone. I trekked to the Grand Tetons, stayed the night. Next morning, 4 or 5 inches of snow in the ground in this little cabin I woke up in. And let's see, ended up heading towards Devil's Tower and got rerouted around from some other fires in Wyoming at the time. And yeah, that was a couple hour detour, same as the day before, 2 days before in Oregon. But it was worth it. It was sick. Put on a bunch of miles. From there, let's see, where did I go? Oh yeah, Devil's Tower, Wall Drugstore. Had to hit that up. Heard some big talk about that. So figured it only makes sense to go check that out. And then from Wall, I ended up, sorry, there's just a bunch of footage I didn't realize I even had on here, just of me sitting in the line at Devil's Tower, which, and some of this footage is kind of in different places than it happened in the timeline in real life. I tried, but there was a ton of footage. It's over a year old or so that I'm now going through it all to make this video, so bear with me. Yeah, in this area here, this is where, right where I left Wall Drug Store, and found some dirt roads to go rip on to, it then brought me right into Badlands, right into the national park, and got some cool shots with the drone right outside the park, but it's high enough that it looks sick. And then looks like I just, I kind of skipped the East Coast because I had like a whole nother video on that, which I considered home, growing up in New Hampshire and all. But here we are cruising through Vermont on my way back. I say we because I went there to the East Coast for my 20-year high school reunion solo, and then my uncle came with me most of the way back. And here we were cruising through, let's see, Vermont into Pennsylvania. We had to go hit up a KTM dealership for some reason. My uncle needed some parts or something like that. I kind of forget the main reason. Gorgeous foliage in Vermont just started hitting. We went through this place in Pennsylvania called Austin Dam, just happened to be driving by. We hit a little bit of the Pennsylvania BDR, which was some hard packed dirt, I believe, mainly pavement though. Saw some lakes, we had to pull over, cool off for a minute on the trek. It was warm, 90s a lot of the days. Nights were cool, but a lot of hot days for sure. Was had 111 when I left Oregon and around Hell's Canyon area into Idaho. That was the hottest I saw. Coldest was probably in the 40s, somewhere at around Tetons, Grand Teton that night. It was snow. Morning, the next morning. Here we are though over in Kansas. Whole lot of nothing but dirt roads and farms and fields, and it's cool to get the drone out, get some cool shots. Most of this drone footage has never been seen. It's just been locked up on an SD card. This shot though, driving down this road, is where my uncle rear-ended me right here when I was looking left, had my blinker on, we were turning. I wish I would have edited that in there, I totally forgot, but cranked me from behind at about 30. You can see the mirror is now busted, but you know, we kept moving on. We were not too far from this place, Monument Rocks in Kansas. And after being in the flats for so long, it's like the middle of the country, in my opinion, kind of sucks. So it's nice seeing some rocks. I don't know. I remember my uncle saying, oh, we're just driving out to the middle of nowhere to go look at some rocks. I was like, well, when you put it that way, that's exactly what we're doing. These rocks look cool, so I figured it'd be cool to pull the drone out and get some cool shots. Then from Kansas, where we go, there's not a whole lot of cool stuff in the middle of the country, but we started getting some more, some more altitude and some more texture to the terrain once we started cruising into Colorado. Colorado has always been at the top of my hit list, and I've never been able to make it there, so this was a treat for me. So we just started running into some rivers, some mountains, some low mountains too, but it still looks sick traveling these valleys. And so yeah, we pulled over for a minute, grabbed some shots here and there, following some rivers. Kind of flew it like I was flying my paramotor for a little bit, all low and over the waters. It was super sick. And yeah, we were just traveling through some of these passes and these low-key roads. It's just mandatory to pull the drone out. Some of these, like these shots right in here, it's like a flat valley floor coming from the hills, some more giant mountains in the backdrop. Not really even sure where it's allotted some of this footage was taken, but I mean, somewhere. Maybe, I really could not tell you. I was looking through the maps earlier, trying to see if I could decipher. I pulled some info out, but, and like I said, some of it's mixed mashed, like here and there. So yeah, there's the foliage was popping in Colorado. It was absolutely gorgeous, just yellows and oranges, and dude, the passes through there were just every other stop you had to every other corner you had to take a stop, snap some photos. It just looked kind of fake. It was absolutely epic. Colorado was top notch. We end up, I ended up hitting this BDR section. My uncle kind of pushed out a little bit. He ended up crashing on the road, got bucked from sitting down, and we were following this other group of riders. It's another 890, a 790, and another Tenere. That's what I've been riding, the Yamaha Tenere. But we went up this like 11,000 foot mountain pass or so, and I lost my my Arnold Palmer, and I didn't realize till I was coming back down and saw it sitting in the trail, and was like, oh gosh, that looks awfully like the Arnold Palmer I just had didn't have in my bag, and stopped, and that was definitely mine. And So yeah, my uncle said he's gonna wait for me in a spot on this dirt road, and he wasn't there, so I just proceeded heading back towards the pavement. But I mean, the road was absolutely gorgeous. As you see, some of the fall colors, the foliage, so it's just nice flowy roads too, not all washed out. But I ended up finding him at the end of the road. He was taking a nap, he was a little beat up. But yeah, that was some of these images. I like rewatched this video. I haven't seen it, a lot of this footage since I recorded it, and wow, it just goes to show how epic this country is. How much I kind of forgot a little bit. See, now I'll kind of get back to Pikes Peak because I think I skipped over here to Utah. This starts getting into, I want to say. I think I found the Pikes Peak footage after, so that I threw it in right after. And Garden of the Gods was in there too, but I think this is the Colorado River right here. Might have pulled over and chiefed one down right quick, if you know what I'm saying. Figure get some cool shots, and you know, it's always been at the top of my hit list to camp at some red rocks, like under the stars, Utah style. So that was like, I think the mission for this day was head there. And actually, see, I'm a little, here it is leaving camp. We camped there the night before. A lot of this footage about to drop is from that night before. When we got there, we had some sunlight and set up the tents, camped for free, got some sick drone footage. Yeah, and this is just that next day, heading towards Salt Lake, I guess. Yeah, through Moab, something. And as you can see, it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. Looked kind of fake a little bit, you know, like that fresh. But we ended up finding this little, I wouldn't call it a hole in the wall because it's a nice establishment, but some sign just saying, oh, breakfast. So we pulled off on one of these little side roads, dirt road, and it was like someone's driving to this luxe breakfast spot. Anyway, so here was the night before when we got to that camp spot. A lot of sick zigzag roads carving out to get over there. And there's like the only piece, a little bit of green you could see with some trees and stuff just all fall in this Colorado River. Here's a shot looking down at this like 1,000-foot wall at the road. Maybe it was 800 feet or so, maybe not quite 1,000, but we were kind of posted up right over there by those trees, behind those. And this was straight in that same direction, way out in the distance. Just looked like some cool pillars to send the drone to and film. Each battery, I only got one battery, so it only gets me about, 20 minutes, give or take. Try to get a couple shots in that 20 minutes, still shots, a couple videos. But this was all sunsetting. This is like from the little cave hole, looking out, way up in the hills. That one of those like walls, those little holes in the wall out there. It was just, all this was absolutely sick. And I thank God he allowed me to do this. I see a lot of this footage again now, and it just, gives me goosebumps. Yeah, okay, here's back to the next day. Boom, fast forward. So we found breakfast right around here somewhere, right before this. It was right in this epicness. There was just this gorgeous spot. I wish I could find it. It was some cell phone footage I took, but it's long gone. So backtrack a couple days or whatever now too. And we're back over at Garden of the Gods, right? Yeah, Garden of the Gods, which is kind of almost a little south and across the street from Pikes Peak. But Pikes Peak, we'll get there in a minute. And this gentleman right here in front of us, actually, we get to storytelling about him. Well, not him, that's my uncle on the KTM. When we were in Colorado Springs, where we got into Colorado, went and raced some go-karts. But after my uncle rear-ended me that day before Kansas, he broke a couple ribs, potentially, we think. And so he only took a couple laps in the go-karts, and he was history on that. And then we ended up trucking over towards Colorado Springs, where I looked for a mirror, and he was looking for some other stuff, some straps or some bungees. And while we were there at Cycle Gear, Colorado Springs, we met this dude on this Goldwing. This like aerospace engineer, really cool dude. And he's like, man, I want to go up to Pikes Peak. I've never been up there. You guys mind if I tag along? And I was sick. He was a cool dude. We hung all day, climbing up Pikes Peak, 14,000 feet. Just some of the corners that Ken block, drifted on the Hoonicorn. Just visual pictures in my mind. Then we just fast forward, bada bing, we're outside of Salt Lake and we are at Bonneville. And obviously, you kind of got to do 100 at Bonneville. I got a bunch of shots I threw in here. Kind of went a little overboard, but it was just so cool how desolate it was. Here we are pulling right onto it. You can see these blue like tire tracks and they kind of just follow, you just follow that out to the middle of nothingness realistically. And you know, watch that speedo, boom, hundo. Anything less? No, as soon as she hit a hundo, I backed off. Oh, 96 again. Yeah. There was something cool. There was like a whole rally car team that like trucked out with the giant double-decker trailer, semi-truck out to the middle of the desert somewhere, went way out there. Or I might have passed him, but I didn't get a whole lot of, they didn't get any footage of him on this. But you still got some grip to do some wheelies, but if you really gave her the beans, it got a little weird, it could get a little loose. And not all the terrain once you got away from the road a little bit was super smooth either. But the salt flats then turned into like this dirt thing that rode right on the side of the main road. And I mean, I've always like looked at the dirt on the side of the main road and it was just like, I don't know, it'd be sick to race a car on a dirt bike or snowmobile or whatever the Ford was, the Ripper was of the day. But that day we got to do it. I got to shred the Tenere on the dirt and the side of the road, but it was just more like a highway, like some straight Dakar rally stuff, and just passing cars, but through the dirt. It was unbelievable. Here's some more footage, obviously back to Bonneville. Got some shots of my uncle ripping his 890. Right about here is where he ended up heading back to the East Coast, and I continued west, heading home to Oregon. This was on day 30 probably at this point, 31, somewhere in there. And found this cool spot. I pulled over, grabbed a breather, I had to take a leak probably. Pulled the drone out, but somewhere outside of Salt Lake heading into Nevada. I don't know if it was in Nevada yet, but some cool shots here up on the cliffs looking down at the road I was on. And then, here we are to Oregon. Alvord Desert. Gosh, my GPS sent me for a loop on that one. He was like, yeah, the hot springs just right over here, down this dirt road trail, through this fence, into this farmer's fields, down that field, through some other zone that took me to like nothing, nowhere, dead-ended, where I then spun around, went back to the road, and found out that in fact there was just a regular road, this gravel road I could have taken right to the Alvord Hot Springs. So. But here we are backtracking again. Some of these shots now are from the day before in Nevada, when I split from my uncle there and he ended up heading back east. Oh, and his transmission blew 6th gear, 5th in that KTM. So that was a bummer. He was held up for a little bit while I continued to the west, back home to Oregon. Met some cool couple here at this campsite in the middle of Nevada. And yeah. So now here's some shots at the bunkers over in the Alvord Desert that I stayed at. These weird little bunker things. It was cool setup, and hot springs are open 24 hours. And here's some shots of my homies the next morning, which I didn't realize it was the homies till after, a couple months after. My buddy Jim Renfro, I'm not sure. But he with his truck and his RV and his stuff out in the middle of the Alvord Desert flying paramotors. Go figure. Saw them in the morning and chased them out there with my drone, but I was a little late, and I think they landed by the time I actually got it out there. But then I ended up trucking out there, or riding out there. Took the bike out there, grabbed some drone shots, but they were history by then. And I just saw him like a couple months ago, and he says, "Yeah, we rode up to the bunkers looking for you, and we couldn't find you." I was like, "That's so funny," because I went to the desert floor looking for you guys. I couldn't find you, so we literally must like just drove right by each other and just missed it. But you know, I was looking forward to getting home. So grab those shots with the drone and then continued west through desolate nothingness of Oregon in the desert, what Burns area I think I started creeping back into. And then didn't want to bore with all that, so here coming back over Mountain Hood on the side of that, getting close down the city here, and what, Sandy maybe? And then the sun is falling. There's my exit right there, Oregon City, off of 205, what it do? And that was it, guys. That was it. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed filming it and riding and then re-talking about it, because it's just, it was such a good time. I'd recommend it for anyone to go by yourself on your motorcycle with all your camping gear and just go to the other side of the country. It was one of the best experiences I could have ever done, and I would do it again, I think. But we'll see what the cards hold, because it'd be cool to take my kids with me. So maybe when they become of age, maybe me and the older boys take another mission out there. But until next time, we'll see you in the next one. I guess some editing to do with some Suron stuff over in Bend. And then it's back to some flight lessons stuff. I got flight lessons tomorrow scheduled, so excuse me. I'll be getting on editing some of that, flying the new, well, to me, the new Piper J5 Cub. And it's only new because I haven't really flown planes much. I got like now 13 hours or so, maybe 14, but going for that sport pilot license. So come along for the journey. I hope you enjoy the ride as much as I always do. It's always epic. See you guys out there. Like and subscribe.